So now we're just going to mention some evidences which support our the Sunni school's evidence that the Prophet ﷺ can make dua for you and you can seek help from him. These are our secondary evidences, and then we have our primary evidences. The secondary evidences is the fact that the prophets are alive in their graves, and because they are alive in their graves and they can hear people, they can make dua for them as well. And there's some hadith on that. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi salatu wasalam said, I came, and in the narration of Haddab, I passed by Musa the night I was taken on the night journey, Isra, at the red dune, and he, meaning Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, was standing praying in his grave. This is in Sahih Muslim, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam in his grave. Allah's Messenger, Allah bless him and grant him peace, said, the prophets are alive in their graves praying, and this is in the Majma' al-Zawaid collection, and it has an authentic chain of narration. Another hadith about the prophets being alive in their graves. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, one does not send blessings on me except his blessing shown to me until he finishes with it. Abu Darda said, I said, and after death, and he said, and after death, meaning passing away. Indeed, Allah has forbidden the earth to consume the bodies of the prophets. So the Prophet of Allah is alive and given sustenance. And this is Ibn Majah. So that's another evidence that the prophets are alive after their passing away. Events of Karbala. Imam Ahmad narrates the following. Ibn Abbas said, I saw the Prophet ﷺ in a dream during the middle of the day. That's a typo there. The middle of the day. His hair was not combed and had dust in it. He was holding a cup containing blood. I said, O Messenger of Allah, what is this? He replied, the blood of Hussein and his companions. Ammar said, we made a note of that day and found later that he had been killed on that day, meaning Imam Hussein. So here, Ibn Abbas has a dream of the Prophet ﷺ. They're away from Iraq. He has a dream of the Prophet ﷺ on the 10th of Muharram, middle of the day. The Prophet ﷺ is holding a cup of blood, and then he explains that it's the blood of Sayyidina Hussein. And then Ammar said, we made a note of that day, and then obviously, then they got they received information after some time that Imam Hussein had been martyred on that day. So that dream matched exactly. So this is a companion having a dream on that day. So it shows that although the Prophet ﷺ is buried in Medina al-Munawwara, he was aware of what was happening in Karbala as well. And he had a cup of blood. So according to some scholars, like Sheikh Abdullah Talidi, who passed away not too long ago from Morocco, he said it means that the soul of the Prophet ﷺ can travel where it wishes to go. Isn't restricted to his blessed grave in Medina al-Munawwara. He can travel where he wishes, because the world of the Barzakh is different to our world. And this is narrated in the Musnad with two Sahih chains according to Shaykh al-Talidi. Imam al-Haythami also has a similar grading of this narration. So this is authentic narration, because commonly that's what the accusation is from the Salafi school, that the Sunni scholars or Sufi scholars just quote fabricated narrations or severely weak narrations. So this is verification there. Moving on, Hadith of Sayyidah Aisha in her room. Ibn Sa'd in his Tabaqat said, Sayyidah Aisha would remove her head covering up to the point her father was buried alongside the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is buried in the room, Sayyidah Aisha, that's it. And then her father is Abu Bakr Siddiq. When Umar was buried there, she would no longer remove her head covering in the room. Why? Why? Because she obviously held the belief or the view that the dead had some kind of perception. So she didn't want to take off her hijab. Even though Sayyidina Umar is buried in a grave in her room, she doesn't want to take her hijab off. And it says Ibn Sa'd there, and I've seen in other books that it's in the Muslim of Imam Ahmad as well, although I need to double check that. That's why I've got that reference. And Ibn Asakir reports from Sayyidah Aisha that she said, I used to remove my head covering until Umar was buried, at which point I took care regarding my dress. This was until a wall was built between me and the graves. So that's just reconfirming the previous narration that Sayyidah Aisha regarded that the dead have some kind of perception. have a perception of what's going on around them. Moving on, event in Masjid al-Nabawi, so this also supports our position. Sunan al-Darimi, which is one of the early hadith works, a very well respected hadith work. Sa'id bin Abdul Aziz said during the time of the incident of Al-Hurra, so this is when there's some disruption in Medina Munawwara, no adhan was given in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ for 3 days, nor was a congregational prayer offered. So obviously quite a lot of disruption in Medina Munawwara at that time. Sa'id bin al-Musayyib, so Sa'id bin al-Musayyib, from I recall, is a tabi'i, so he's a student of the companions. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, however, was in the masjid and would only know the time of prayer due to a muffled sound he would hear coming from the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's what he would hear. Okay, this is early generation from the Salaf. At the time of prayer, he would hear a muffled sound coming from the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, showing that the Prophet ﷺ is alive and the sound would be coming from the grave. Shaykh Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah has quoted this incident without criticism. The chain in al-Darimi has some slight weakness, however there are other supporting versions of this incident reported in other works. So this has a basis. This is a historical incident which took place, which proves and supports our position that the Prophet ﷺ can be sought help. But Ibn Taymiyyah, if I forget to mention this, in some of his books, he says it's not shirk to ask the Prophet ﷺ for help. He says the Prophet ﷺ can help you, but you're not allowed to ask him for help. So that's his position in some books. What the Salafis said about that statement of his, I don't know. But that's slightly different to the Salafi position you're going to see later on. Okay, so technically they can help you, but we're not allowed to ask them for help. Moving on, and this is